Okay, chapter 4 is all about creating an enemy. In this chapter, I use a cube as an enemy, but because this is going to be kind of a very short tutorial, I'm going to go ahead and just make the enemy that I created for a later chapter. So it's going to look kind of like a skull. So first and foremost, I'm going to deselect everything by pressing A. Now nothing is orange. A just toggles between everything being selected or not. I'm going to go on to another blank layer. So this time I'm going to use the one right below our ship scene. So there's that. Now I'm just going to use the basic methods we already know to create an enemy. So I'm going to just add a plane right here. I'm going into edit mode by pressing tab. I'm pressing Control R to add a loop cut. I'm pressing Control Tab to switch my edit mode, and I'm selecting face. I'm going to delete the faces. I'm going to add another mirror modifier. So there's that. So now I've selected clipping and deselected vertex group. So now I have an editable plane. That's awesome. I'm just going to kind of make this briefly look like a kind of skull type object. So I'm just pressing E and I'm extruding all of these. And there we go. Alright, so you get kind of different shapes when you do that. But in any case, I'm going to use this as my enemy. So I'm going to right click it and I'm going to press the M as in mom, M key, to move it to the layer, the main ship layer. So there it is. Now if I go into my main ship layer, my enemy is there with me. So I'm going to use either G or this green arrow key to move my enemy back. Alright, so there's my enemy. Alright, so let's go on to step 4. Alright, so right now we're in camera view. So there's everything my camera can see. I'm going to make my enemy a little smaller. I want to move my enemy right to the outside of the camera. Alright, perfect. So there's my enemy. In step 5, we want to name this guy. So go into your object tab, select where it says plane.001 or whatever it happens to be named, and call it enemy. So there we go, enemy. And then in chapter 6, we're going to press 7 to just go into top view completely. And then we want to add some logic to our enemy. So we're going to add an always sensor, which is not pictured, an always sensor, an and controller, and we're going to add a motion actuator. So there we go. Hook them all together. Great. Oh, the always sensor is pictured. And then the simple motion, we're going to change the Y location to 0.2. That should work. And then in step 7, we're going to go to our physics tab, and in this case, we're going to check dynamic, and we might actually switch this up to character later on. With collision bounds, let's scroll all the way down. I'll check collision bounds and we'll leave it like that. That should work just fine. And then we're gonna, I guess in step 9 it just says minimize your blocks. That's fine. Let's add an edit object actuator. So edit object, connect this right here. So just bring it off right there to keep it connected to our always sensor. We're gonna set this to track. So instead of add objects, switch it to track to. The object that we want to track to is our spaceship. So if you right click on your spaceship, you'll see that it's named, oh, we didn't name it yet. We'll have to name it. So let's call it ship. And that might have just been me deleting one of my past tutorials. So there's ship with our ship right clicked, we rename it ship. And then I've got my enemy selected. So now in the enemy's logic, so enemy selected right there, it's orange. and we're going to go to object, and we're going to set it to ship. So now we're basically setting it to always track to the ship. So basically follow our spaceship. Alright, and then let's see under track 2, make sure the time's set to 2. And you can play around with these settings. And now if we go into our render panel, and if we click start, it should track right to us. Okay, perfect. And notice he is facing the wrong way. So I am going to go into my modifiers tab. I'll apply my mirror. I'll go into edit mode. And now I'll rotate him. And we'll see if that does anything. There we go. Okay, so now he's facing the correct direction. All I had to do was put him into edit mode, apply my modifier, and then rotate him. So there we go. And I'll fire. It doesn't, well, the reason we set the dynamic settings was just so that my kids could kind of see the enemy react to the hit point. We will be changing the enemy's physics shortly to react to the laser beams in a appropriate manner. Also, don't forget, select your enemy and click the material tab. Add a material to this. Call it enemy material. And then just, I'm going to leave mine white. And I'm going to turn the diffuse all the way up to 1 and the specular all the way down. Alright, so now that's what we got. We can just escape, press start again. We can see our enemy following us. And if we shoot him right now, his dynamic physics react with the laser beam physics. So he just kind of follows us. Awesome. Wonderful. So now we're going to go on to chapter 5 where we make crosshairs and use a little bit of Python scripting.